We're back. So these three assignments, 3, 18, 19, and 20, look like this. Those are the three from last week. You want to get them turned in. I'm going to try to grade those today so that way tomorrow we're updated before our quiz on Wednesday. By the way, there's also a warm-up from last week. That's 4 grades from last week. So if you were absent Friday, make sure you turn in last week's warm-up, right? Make plans. Wednesday, come after school. Okay, we have a STAR test coming up. We want to pass it. Please come. Excuse me. Please make plans to come. If you need hours for absences, you can also get hours. And it's free snacks. Snacks, hours. Very important. Okay. Last week we got practice on this, but you got to know how to get your equation equal to 0, right? So let's do that. This equation on this warm-up is not equal to 0. It's equal to 4x minus 7. So we need to get rid of 4x and minus 7. So the opposite of a positive 4x is a minus 4x. And at the same time, to get rid of a minus 7, the opposite is plus 7. So minus 4x and plus 7 has to be on both sides. Okay. Cancels out. Cancels out. Now the right side is now equal to 0. Cool. The left side, we got to combine like terms here. So the only x squared term comes down, 2x squared. 3x minus 4x, 3 minus 4 is negative 1, so negative 1x is just negative x. And then negative 3 plus 7 is positive 4. The bigger number is positive, it has to be positive. That's it. That's solving it for 0. And then, do you remember last week? You can take this and solve it by graphing it in Desmos and finding the x-intercept. Because you know solving means solution, and another name for solution is roots, zeros, and x-intercepts, right? Well, here's a note. It won't take too long, but we got a new thing. Now, I don't know on the video you can't see this, but class, look at what I'm holding in my hand. Okay, this is called a, some have called it a formula chart, but it's actually called a reference material. Formula chart, whatever. Has all the formulas on it, okay? When you take your STAR test, do you think they're going to give you one of these? Kind of, okay? So, like when you take your test in my class, normal tests, okay, there is a little button that says reference or material or something like that, okay? You can actually get this digitally when you're taking the test in Aware in my class. And it's supposed to be similar on your STAR test, okay? You can get all this information by clicking a button. And why am I telling you that? Because near the bottom of this reference material, is everyone looking? It says quadratic formula. Now look at your notes for today. At the top, you have the quadratic formula, okay? So this thing right here is one way to solve a quadratic equation, okay? So if you don't remember, at the beginning of last week, we did factoring, okay? Don't remember factoring where you had to do A times C, all the factor pairs, which one adds up to the middle one, set them equal to 0 and solve. That's one way. Then we talked about just graph it and look at the x-intercept. That's the easiest way, in my opinion. And then this is another way, okay? Now, I'll be honest, this used to be the main way before, calculators made it easier. But I still got to show you because it is possible during your STAR test, you'll have answers in this weird form, okay? Now, I'm going to attempt to show you something, and we'll see if it works, okay? Because my airtime hasn't been working. So you know how earlier we were jamming out to Don't Stop Believing? Can y'all hear it? Well, it's not working because I can't hear it. Well, that's a bummer. Anyways, they did this quadratic formula song to the "Don't Stop Believing," which one we were listening to earlier. But every time I try to hit play, it doesn't work and it freezes up. So I guess we can't do that. No fun allowed in math. All right, let me reconnect this. Okay. Well, imagine we just listened to a funny song. Ha 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 ha. All right, now back on track. 1 through 3. Guess what we're going to do? Just like the warm up, we need to set it equal to 0. So let's do that. Number 1, it's not equal to 0. So I need to get rid of minus p squared and plus p. The opposite of minus p squared is plus p squared. The opposite of plus p is minus p. And if you do it on one side, we're going to do it on the other side. These cancel. Now, I'm going to write it on this line over here, but I need to put it in order. So remember, standard form is always a x squared plus b x plus c. X squared goes first, or in this case, p squared goes first. And then the x term, or in this case, the p term, minus p. And then the constant is 18, so plus 18. Cool. P squared minus p plus 18. And here's the question. What is A, B, and C? What are the coefficients? So what number is in front here, and here, and here? So on that first one, when it's just p squared, when there's no number in front, what number does that mean is in front? 1. No number, put a 1 in front. Okay, so this is 1. And similarly, negative p means negative what? Negative means negative 1. So if there's a negative with no number, that means negative 1. And that's going to tell us our A, B, and C. A is 1, B is negative 1, and C is 18. Cool. All right, number 2. Number 2 already looks like it's equal to 0, right? But if you look at it closely, you have x squared first, and then the constant, and then the x. These are out of order. Okay, so those need a little switcheroo, as it were. So let's rewrite it. The 2x squared should go first, but next should be minus 5x. And last should be that positive 28. Cool. So that's what it's supposed to be. And now we answer the question, what is A, B, and C? A is the first, B is the second, C is the third. So you got 2, negative 5, and 28. All right. Okay, then we got number 3 here. It's not equal to 0, so we need to get rid of 6m minus 6m minus 6m. Cancels out on the right. And we put it in order, 3m squared minus 6m minus 10. And then you're looking for these A, B, and C. So A is 3, B is negative 6, C is negative 10. Okay, so far so good. You got to be able to get it equal to 0 first before you start using that crazy fraction at the top, okay? So let's start using that crazy fraction. Here we go down here. Number 4, okay? I need to solve number 4 for 0, just like we've been doing. Okay, so let's make sure we're doing that here. So, okay, so it can't equal negative 10. It needs to equal 0. So the opposite of minus 10 is plus 10 on both sides. Cancels out here. So we got 2x squared minus 7x, and negative 13 plus 10 is negative 3. Ooh. So we can fill in A, B, and C. A, the first coefficient is 2. B, the second coefficient is negative 7. And C, negative 3. Okay, so here's the deal. We are going to use the equation at the top of this page. I'm going to just rewrite it here. X equals negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Okay, that is the original quadratic formula that's on here, but it's also at the top of the page, right? I'm just typing that thing in the box at the top, okay? Well, here's the deal. We are going to replace b, this b, and this b with a parentheses negative 7. We're going to replace this a and this a with the parentheses 2, and we're going to replace this c with a parentheses negative 3. Okay? We're just plugging stuff in, and we're just going to rewrite it first before we do anything. Okay? So here we go. X equals negative sign, and then b is negative 7 in parentheses. So negative b plus or minus the square root, and then it's supposed to be b squared, so that's negative 7 squared minus 4, a and c. So that's 2 and negative 3. Divided by 2a, which is 2. Now that thing is a little bit ugly. I get it, okay? It's a lot of steps, a lot of stuff there, okay? I will be frank with you. The easiest way to do this is not this way. It's just to graph it in Desmos and look at the x-intercept. Where does it cross x? That's the easiest way to do this stuff. But the reason why this might be helpful, okay, is for some reason they're going to ask you questions where the answers might look like quadratic equation, quadratic formula. So you really got to know, you got to be at least be familiar with it, okay? That's why we're familiarizing today. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to simplify this to get the solutions, okay? So here we go. X equals, now if you have a negative, negative 7, a negative, negative, the negatives cancel out, and it's just 7, plus or minus, and then this thing, what's under the square root, we need to figure out what that is, okay? So we're going to take this, and we're going to use Desmos. So here's the deal. If I do the square root of everything under that square root sign, do you see how I get like a decimal here? So I really just want to know it without the square root. So everything under that square root gives me 73. So I'm going to put square root of 73. Again, use the calculator to help you simplify it. Make it easier, okay? Divided by, and what's 2 times 2 on the bottom? 4. it is possible on the STAR test you will have answers like that. Okay. Here's another strategy. You could just type that in, get the decimal, see which decimal answer you get. That's it. Okay. But here's something weird. Do you see how there's a plus and a minus? Okay. That means there's a plus answer and a minus answer. There's two different answers. And we saw that last week when you have a don't draw this, but when you have a quadratic, sometimes it crosses twice, right? So there's a positive and a negative answer. Okay. Well, let's do this. We're going to type this in twice. So the first one is going to be 7 plus the square root of 73 over 4. And the second one is going to be 7 minus the square root of 73 over 4. Does everyone see? There's a plus answer and a minus answer. That's what plus minus means. You do both. And now I got two separate decimal answers, and that's what I'm going to put at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to put my negative one, my smaller one, negative 0.39. And notice I'm using a bracket. This is called set notation. And 3.89 is my other one. All right, so there it is. Using that fraction, once with a plus, once with a minus, will give you two answers, and those two answers are your solutions. You use quadratic formula to get solutions. Cool. Let's try another one. Number 5. I'm solving. I need it to be equal 0, so I need to get rid of the 25. The opposite of a positive 25 is a minus 25. Minus 25. Cancel these out. So 4x squared comes first. Minus 25 is going to go here. But I want you to notice something. Don't we usually have x squared, x, and a constant? X squared is right here, but it has no x term. The middle is missing. Guess what number that's going to be if it's missing? What number means nothing? 0, right? So here's the deal. My b term, my middle x term, is like a 0x. So if you want to write it, there's like an implied 0x here, okay? It's missing. So our a is 4, the missing x is 0, and then c is negative 25. So we got to take all that, plug it in to the quadratic formula right here. So let's do that. X equals negative, and then b, in this case, is 0. Negative b, negative 0. Plus or minus the square root b squared, so it's going to be 0 squared. It's kind of weird. Minus 4 a times c. 4 times negative 25. Divided by 2a, which is 4. So you're just plugging stuff in, replacing a, b, and c. And then we need to use Desmos. Here's the deal. Negative 0 cancels out. It's gone. So now I just have plus or minus. And then let's do that square root. Square root of 0 squared minus 4 C. Now, the whole square root gave me 20. So without the square root, it was 400. So it's the square root of 400 over 2 times 4 is 8. So again, there's nothing out here. It's just going to be positive square root of 400 divided by 8. And then square root of 400 divided by 8. This time it's going to be negative. Again, you see this plus minus sign. One is positive, one is negative. And it gives you two answers, negative 2.5 and positive 2.5. That's it. So what are we doing? We're setting them equal to 0, finding a, b, and c, plugging it into the equation twice, once with the plus sign, once with the minus sign, and you get two decimal solutions. Sometimes they're whole numbers, sometimes they're not. But I'm going to pass out this assignment. Again, you could do this by graphing x-intercept style, but at least set it up with the quadratic formula. I need those 3 assignments from last week, plus the warm-up. They're going in the grade book soon. Okay?